All right, I am here with our tiebreaker, Ann Uchtman. Hey, Ann.
Hey.
Hey. Now, Ann has been on the podcast several times. She is here in Cincinnati. Yay. You
Yay.
don't do Dayton, do you? Or Indiana or anything like that?
What's Dayton? I'm just kidding.
Right. She just does
No.
Indiana. But she
I
is
don't do Indiana either or Kentucky.
okay.
Mm.
She is an agent with Star One, and she's also the director of training. What is it? Training and development.
Agent development and training.
So fancy, which means
Right?
Anne knows all the rules. So
I
we're
hope
having her
so.
on. Our tiebreaker is, you ready, Anne?
Yep.
Should you use your commission to settle a buyer-seller dispute?
Ooh. So, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
I
My
know
first
you
thought,
would. You're also opinionated, which is my favorite.
yeah, I have an opinion about everything, whether it's warranted or not. But okay, so it always makes me nervous whenever commission is part of the question. Like,
Right.
we're all scared. I'm like over here squirming in my seat. Not really. So I don't
Well, there's a
say
lot of
anything.
rules
There's
around
so many
commission.
rules. Like,
Yeah.
don't talk about commission. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
number one rule. So I get it. But so what I will say is, have I agreed to, pay for part of a home warranty or something before, along with the other agents, to get the deal to come together? Yes, absolutely. And I think most of us will say that we've done that.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's just no getting around it. And you're like, I could show these people another 50 homes and, we'd be back in the same situation, and they're going to have to pay for inspections again, or we're going to have to put it back on the market again. And it's not worth it. It's not worth our time.
But then why wouldn't you use that to get them to pay for
to do it?
more? Yeah.
So that's the thing. 99% of the time, absolutely. I'm not going to cut it. People tend to think, I think the general public seems to think like all we do is show houses all day long, and it's all like
so
coming
fun.
up roses. And sometimes even showing houses isn't fun.
Right.
Because you can't get in the door. Someone's there during your showing time when it's a pandemic, and it's supposed to be exclusive showings only. And then, the house smells like mold. Yeah, it's terrible. So, but we do work really hard for our money. And I know you've had several assistants, transaction coordinators, whatever in the past. And every time, well, not every time, I've had 3 assistants in my 15 years, unlicensed. 2 of them became licensed, but every single time one of them worked for me, they were like, oh my God, I had no idea what went into working in real estate, like a day in the life of a realtor. Right. And that's the God's honest truth. I don't think anyone really knows. Even the person sitting at the title agency table notarizing our closing docs, who told me today he's been in this business since 1974.
Wow.
As a closer. Good for you. I said I was a mere twinkle in my daddy's eye, but you still don't know my job, and I still don't know your job. So yeah, but so yeah, and I teach. I know you and I both coach and train and whatever, and my favorite line is first one to speak loses. When the seller and you are sitting down and they're like, we didn't want to pay that much. Will you cut your commission? No. And well, do you have to say this? No, you just let it get awkward. The minute you open your mouth, you're letting money walk out the door.
That's a great point.
Yeah, because it gets awkward and we feel badly. And the next thing you're like, well, I could ask my manager, I could ask my broker.
No, don't do that.
We usually don't. We usually try not to. So that's.
But what about at like the end, like what you were talking about before? It's like it's down to the wire. They're being real picky and kind of bitchy at each other, and you're like, oh my God, for like however much money or percentage,
$250 or whatever.
It is. Yeah.
Hands down, like that's my point. Our time is valuable.
Yeah.
I will typically allow that if the other agent is willing to participate also. It depends on the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on the deal, but
that's like the general consensus, I think, among most people. I mean, I'm like a pretty hard no, but like, of course that's happened, right?
Yeah. And like, I wouldn't, if I was like, you know what, I know, Jen, like, I know you've had that listing on the market off and on for 2 years, and these people are the biggest thorn in your side. And now they're a thorn in my side because they're being a-holes to my buyers, and my buyers want to walk, and I don't want to show them houses. This really is the perfect house for them, and we've been looking forever. I'm not going to expect you to cut your commission, or to say, hey, not necessarily cut your commission, but hey, contribute to the $500 home warranty that we're arguing over, right?
Right. On because a $400,000 house.
Right. Right. Exactly. I know that, like, I don't expect you to do that. However, it depends on what I think is fair in the situation. And obviously we cooperate with each other, you know, the real estate cooperate term, without regard to compensation. So, and that's in the code of ethics. So we cooperate with each other unless it's in our client's best interest not to.
But that's more, isn't that more about, that rule would be about like showing properties?
Yeah,
not necessarily using.
It's not necessarily on the back end, but it's more like you do not, you know, they're offering less commission than what is standard for the area. And you can't just say, well, I'm not going to show them that house and I'm going to throw that out. You know,
but you can tell your buyers, hey, we agreed to, my fee is 3%. They're only offering 2%. So you would have to, if you want to see this house. Yeah,
absolutely. But it has to be done in the beginning. If you have an exclusive buyer tenant agency agreement, then that's where that would lay out those terms.
Okay. In the beginning. So, you mean like in the beginning? Okay, like
when you start showing them houses, like when you're doing your buyer consultation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the rules? Are there rules around agents paying for certain things to settle disputes, or does that matter? We're calling it using their commission, but really it may or may not be coming from the commission, right? And they could just be writing a check.
Correct. Yeah. And every brokerage is different. So, whereas, you know, I might say, let's say it's $1,000 home warranty. That's the most expensive home warranty I've ever seen, but we'll call it $1,000.
Go with it, right?
And you're like, we're talking and we're like, gosh, we need to just move on. You know, this is a good deal for your sellers. It's a good deal for my buyers. Let's see, you know, what if we split the 500? Perfect. So I might in the background be calling my broker like, hey, can I split the 500? And can I pay 500? And they'll say, yeah, that's fine. We'll split it with you.
Okay.
Like, you know, we'll split it with you. We'll pay $250. You pay $250.
Nice.
And you, on the other hand, might be like, well, that's not something my broker does. I'm gonna write a check for it. And that's fine. Anytime, now I believe anytime you're altering, pay structure, commission, or like, let's say you were offering me $1,000 Visa gift card to the buyer's broker. If under contract by October 31st or something, that needs to go in the contract as well, or on an addendum that's signed by all parties.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then the other rules are, I cannot, like, if you're offering less commission than I believe is standard for the area, and I don't have an exclusive buyer agency agreement in place where my buyers agreed that I would get a certain percentage no matter what the seller was offering or the other brokerage was offering, I cannot write an offer on your property saying this offer is contingent upon the sellers paying additional compensation to me. No. That's an ethics violation of the code of ethics. I believe that's Article 16, I want to say.
Wow. You're going to be a lawyer in your
Sometimes
next life.
I'm really smart. No.
You're super
I'm
smart.
sure we're going to get a million people disagreeing with me on this, but but yeah, so there's different things, but I think, you know, I've had several transactions over the course of 15 years. And when it comes on the back end, I typically am, you know, if the other agent and I can make something work and it's worth making it work, That's
this
fine.
is assuming like you guys have exhausted everything
all
with your
efforts.
clients,
Yeah,
right? It's
absolutely.
not like a first line of defense. And I think that's where I get a little bit huffy. You know what I mean? Like I just think like most agents, many agents are like, we'll just take care of it. And it's like, and like you said, we work hard for our money.
Yeah, so
and it's their house
for it, honey.
Doo-doo.
Yeah, there's an agent in a brokerage here who is notorious for one minor thing goes wrong at inspections. Well, Ann, are you willing to pay for that? You know, I took this at a discounted rate. So like, she's not willing to pay for it because she took it at a discounted rate. She's saying, you need to pay for it.
No.
Well, that's not my problem.
Right.
Sweetheart. No.
Right.
So yeah, that's when you get a little huffy about it. It's situations like that. But most of us cooperate and work well together. And
for the most part, I think, for sure.
For the most part, yeah.
I feel like you're usually, when you're on, I feel like you're always Team Monica. We need to find one where you're Team Mertland. Yes.
Okay.
Because you're more like her, where it's like, you're kind of like, you can see all the sides, but you guys gotta pick a side. You can't be Switzerland.
If I had to pick a side, I don't know. Well, I do feel like in my earlier years, I was always like just throwing money away, man. I was like, we can take care of that. No.
Yeah. Right.
But, yeah, it becomes, it's hard. And I'm in a position now where I'm not necessarily the manager, but I have to, like, I'm managing this week, this weekend, and we'll get questions like, is it okay? Because if you're taking it out of your commission or cutting your commission, that needs to be a broker decision or a manager decision. So
that makes
I'll
sense.
get those questions.
Think about that.
Yeah, and I think about it all the time, and I'm like, man, like I really like just threw all kinds of stuff on the table. I'm like giving it all away.
Right.
It's probably why I went broke there for a few years during the recession. No.
Oh, shit. Don't give your commission away. You do work hard for your money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on as usual, though.
Thanks for having me. It was wonderful.
Have a good rest of the day.
Have a good one. You too. See ya. Bye.